Media fact-checker. Two men charged in fatal Bruce highway head-on crash involving stolen truck. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A 26-year-old man named Andre Roberts from Caboolture died after a head-on collision on the Bruce Highway near Burpengary on February 17 at 10:30 p.m. A 46-year-old Redcliffe man was charged with 1 count of manslaughter and multiple theft-related charges, 4 counts of enter premises and commit, 3 counts of stealing, 2 counts of receiving tainted property, 1 count of unlawful use of a motor vehicle. A 42-year-old Narangba man was charged with 1 count of manslaughter and 1 count of dangerous operation of a vehicle causing grievous bodily harm. The Isuzu truck involved in the crash was allegedly stolen from a Hemant business and was being followed by a Ford Ranger in the moments leading up to the crash. The Redcliffe man, 46, was allegedly driving the Isuzu truck, and the Narangba man, 42, was allegedly driving the Ford Ranger. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources regarding core factual details. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Kyle and Jackie O shows final radio ratings decline and contract fallout. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Kyle and Jackie O show's final ratings survey, January 18 to February 28, showed a 12.7% share in Sydney, unchanged from 2025 but 4 points behind Ben Fordham's 2 GB, 9 owned. The show lost 60,000 listeners in Sydney, ending with 636,000 cumulative listeners. Both Nova and Smooth FM had higher cumulative audiences. Jackie O. Henderson left the show after being berated by Kyle Sandilands on air on February 20, leading to a solo broadcast by Sandilands the following week, final week of the survey. ARN, Keith's owner, suspended Kyle Sandilands for 14 days to remedy alleged serious misconduct and contractual breach, later terminating his contract. Henderson's representatives informed ARN she could no longer work with Sandilands, leading to her contract termination. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Teenager on bail allegedly stabs woman in Melbourne shopping centre, related shootings reported. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A 25-year-old woman was stabbed while walking through M-City Shopping Centre on Blackburn Road, Clayton, around 7:30 to 7:50 a.m. on Thursday morning. The victim was a stranger to the 16-year-old boy who allegedly committed the attack. The woman was taken to the Alfred Hospital with upper body injuries and remained in a serious but stable condition on Thursday night. A passerby helped the victim and called 000 000 after the attack. Police arrested the 16-year-old boy at a local medical centre in Clayton soon after the incident. But not all outlets told the same story. The Age reports the stabbing occurred at 7:50 a.m., while ABC states it happened at 7:30 a.m. The Age says the woman was stabbed on her way to work outside the shopping centre, but ABC states she was inside the shopping centre when attacked. The Age mentions the boy allegedly randomly attacked the woman, a detail not explicitly confirmed by ABC. This story was covered by ABC News and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Democrats impeach Florida AG Pam Bondi over Epstein files briefing refusal. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Democrats walked out of a closed-door briefing with Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi on Jeffrey Epstein files on Wednesday, calling it an outrageous fake hearing. Bondi refused to commit to testifying under oath despite a subpoena voted by the House Oversight Committee earlier this month. 5 Republicans joined Democrats in voting to subpoena Bondi to question the Justice Department's handling of Epstein investigation files. Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche attended the briefing to address bipartisan frustration over the release of Epstein-related documents. California Congressman Robert Garcia called the briefing an outrageous fake hearing after Bondi's refusal to testify under oath. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Bondi accused Democrats of using Epstein documents to distract from Trump's successes, but Article 2 does not mention this specific accusation. Article 1 includes Bondi's defense of the Justice Department's handling of files, while Article 2 focuses more on the Democrats' impeachment push without repeating Bondi's defense. Article 1 mentions Bondi's alleged spying on Congress members, but Article 2 does not reference this claim. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Possum found among plush toys in Hobart Airport gift shop. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A brushtail possum was found among plush toys in the Lagardere AWPL gift shop at Hobart Airport on Wednesday morning. The possum was safely escorted out of the terminal by airport management without incident. Liam Bloomfield, retail manager for Lagardere AWPL, confirmed the incident and stated staff and customers were delighted. The possum appeared calm during its time in the gift shop. The incident occurred around 11:45 a.m. But not all outlets told the same story. Guardian Article 1 states the possum was found among toy kangaroos, bilbies, dingoes, and Tasmanian devils, while ABC does not mention specific toy types beyond native plush. Guardian Article 1 does not mention pandemonium or passengers taking videos, while ABC explicitly states these occurred. Guardian Article 1 does not mention redevelopment works as a possible explanation for the possum's entry, while ABC highlights it as a speculation. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US-Iran conflict escalation and its economic impact on America. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Petrol prices in the US have risen by over 80 cents per gallon since the start of the Iran conflict. The Trump administration coordinated the release of 400 million barrels of emergency oil stocks, the largest single release in IEA history, with G7 and IEA member countries. Over a quarter of the 400 million barrels came from the US Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which holds 700 million barrels at full capacity. The US Strategic Petroleum Reserve was at 60% capacity before the release and is now down to 45%. Brent crude oil price exceeded $104 per barrel as the Strait of Hormuz remained closed for the first time in modern history. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two articles as they are nearly identical in content. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Police shooting of a man in Logan Central, Brisbane, after alleged knife threat. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A man in his 30s was shot by police in Logan Central, Brisbane, on Saturday around 6 p.m. The incident occurred at Carmody Centre on Ewing Road, near Carmody Street, Logan Central. Police allege the man approached officers with a knife after reports of an armed man making threats. The man was shot in the abdomen and taken to Princess Alexandra Hospital, where he remains in stable condition. Police provided first aid at the scene before transporting the man to hospital. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC does not specify the man's exact age, while Newscomau states he is 27 years old. ABC mentions police attempted to negotiate with the man before he approached with the weapon, while Newscomau does not mention negotiation attempts. ABC states the incident occurred on Saturday about 6 p.m., but Newscomau says it happened overnight, no specific time given. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. St. George Illawarra Dragons forward Loko Pasifiki Tonga's neck injury and return timeline. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Loko Pasifiki Tonga, 20, was taken to hospital for precautionary scans after a suspected neck injury during a training session on Thursday at St. George Illawarra's Wollongong facility. Tonga was conscious and communicating with medical staff at all times during the incident. The Dragons confirmed Tonga was cleared of any major neck injury concerns following scans. Tonga was stretchered from the training ground to an ambulance by paramedics. Tonga was listed to play in the NSW Cup clash against Parramatta on Sunday before the injury. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1, Newscamau, states Tonga could play this weekend with medical monitoring, while Article 3, ABC, says he is unlikely to play in the NSW Cup clash against Parramatta tomorrow and expects a return in the next fortnight. Article 1, Newscamau, describes Tonga as cleared of any major neck injury concerns, while Article 3, ABC, describes the initial injury as a scary training incident and pretty nasty injury. Article 1, Newscamau, does not mention Tonga's expected return timeline, while Article 3, ABC, explicitly states Tonga will return to play in the next week or two. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. BHP and Woodside Energy announce new CEOs amid leadership transitions and corporate milestones. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Brandon Craig will become BHP's Chief Executive and Director from July 1, 2025, succeeding Mike Henry. Brandon Craig previously served as BHP America's president and led the company's iron ore operations in Western Australia. BHP's market value makes it one of Australia's biggest companies by market capitalisation. Mike Henry's 6.5-year tenure at BHP saw the company become the world's largest copper producer. Elizabeth Westcott was appointed Woodside Energy's permanent CEO and Managing Director in 2025, succeeding Meg O'Neill. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the sources on core factual claims. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australian public opinion and government response to US-Israel war on Iran and regional military deployments. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Resolve Political Monitor poll, the Age SMH, found 61% of Australians want the country to stay entirely out of the US-Israel war on Iran, with only 13% eager for involvement. The Guardian Essential poll, Guardian, found 43% disapproved of the US and Israeli bombardment of Iran, while 26% backed the move, with 31% unsure. The Resolve poll, the Age SMH, reported 39% opposed and 28% supported the US-Israel military actions in Iran, with 36% undecided or neutral. The Guardian Essential poll, Guardian, found 34% approved and 25% disapproved of Australia's deployment of an E-7 Wedgetail surveillance aircraft and 85 ADF personnel to the UAE, with 40% unsure. The Resolve poll, the Age SMH, found 39% backed the decision to send missiles and an E-7 Wedgetail to the UAE, while 25% opposed it. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian Essential poll found 26% of Australians backed the US-Israel war on Iran, while the Resolve poll, the Age SMH, found only 28% supported it. The Guardian Essential poll reported 34% approved of Australia's deployment of the E-7 Wedgetail and 85 ADF personnel to the UAE, while the Resolve poll, the Age SMH, found 39% backed the same deployment. The Guardian Essential poll found 31% of respondents wanted Australia to distance itself from the US, while the Resolve poll, the Age SMH, did not provide a comparable figure on this specific question. This story was covered by The Guardian, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Homicide investigation and manslaughter charge in Perth's Banksia Grove over a woman's death. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A 42-year-old woman was found unresponsive at a home in Banksia Grove, Perth's northern suburbs, on Thursday morning around 9 a.m. The woman was declared dead at the scene by paramedics after attempts to revive her. The incident occurred on Mayerley Bend, Banksia Grove. A man in his 40s was assisting police with inquiries, Article 1, and later charged, Article 2. Police received the initial report around 9 a.m. on Thursday. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states a man in his 40s is assisting police with inquiries, while Article 2 specifies the man is 47 years old. Article 1 does not mention a charge against the man, while Article 2 states he was charged with manslaughter. This story was covered by ABC News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Research reveals how proximity to trees affects property value and public attitudes toward urban trees. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Associate Professor Song Shi led a study, 2021 to 2025, at UTS finding trees 10 to 20 m from a house increased property value by $30,000, while trees within 10 m reduced value by up to $70,000, adjusted for bedrooms, land size, parking, CBD proximity. Matt Cantwell, Secret Gardens, cited Ocean Street, Woollahra, and Paddington Street, Paddington, as examples of streets with aesthetic value from trees. Danielle Hughes, Greater Sydney Landcare, noted mature trees can cool surrounding areas by nearly 10 degrees Celsius and reduce cooling costs by 20 to 30%. Dr. Nader Naderpaju, University of Sydney, and Amir Pakiz found Western Sydney suburbs like St Mary's and Blacktown increased tree coverage, while Liverpool saw a decrease. Adam Haddow, Australian Institute of Architects, stated Australian natives are criticised for dropping branches flowers, affecting lawns and pools. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Senate confirmation of Mark Wayne Mullin as DHS Secretary amid immigration enforcement controversies. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Mark Wayne Mullin was nominated by Donald Trump to lead the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, after Kristi Noem was ousted in February 2024. Mullin's confirmation hearing began on February 28, 2024, before the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. The Senate Committee advanced Mullin's nomination on March 1, 2024, with a near-party-line vote, 8 Republicans, 1 Democrat in favor, 1 Republican, 6 Democrats opposed. The full Senate confirmed Mullin on March 4, 2024, with a vote of 54 to 45, along party lines. Only Rand Paul voted against him among Republicans. Democrats demanded guardrails on immigration enforcement, including judicial warrants for home business entries, bans on mask wearing by officers, and use of force policies, after 2 U.S. citizens were killed by immigration agents in Minneapolis in 2024. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Mullin's confirmation hearing began at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time on February 28, while Article 3 and Article 4 state it began on Wednesday, February 28, but do not specify the exact time. Article 1 mentions Joe Kent's resignation as a top counterterrorism official amid the Iran war, but Articles 2 and 3 do not reference this event in relation to Mullin's confirmation. Article 2 claims Mullin refused to commit to not having immigration agents positioned near polling stations, while Article 4 states Mullin did not commit to avoiding polling place enforcement but did not explicitly say he refused to commit. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US military spending on Iran war and its economic political implications. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The US and Israel launched a joint military assault on Iran on February 28, 2026, targeting Iranian military and leadership facilities. By day 6 of the conflict, the Pentagon reported $11.3 billion in unbudgeted expenditures to Congress, covering munitions and other direct costs. The Centre for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, estimated the cumulative cost of the first 6 days of the war at $12.7 billion, excluding force buildup and infrastructure repairs. Over 3,000 people in Iran are believed to have been killed in the first 2 weeks of the conflict, including 175 children and teachers at a girls' school in Minab struck by a US-led attack. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, received an $8.8 billion budget for 2026, while the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, was allocated $9.2 billion. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states the Pentagon's $11.3 billion figure excludes force deployment and medical costs, while Article 2 does not specify these exclusions. Article 1 mentions the cost could exceed $18 billion by day 6, but Articles 2 and 3 only reference the $11.3 billion figure without updating it. Article 3 claims the Trump administration proposed 50% cuts to EPA and NSF budgets, but Articles 1 and 2 do not mention these proposed cuts. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker: Australia's economic risks from US-Iran tensions and domestic policy fallout. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Barry Cassidy and Tony Barry are co-hosting a Guardian podcast analysing economic risks. The RBA, Reserve Bank of Australia, has raised the cash rate. Liberal MP Andrew Hastie has criticised US President Trump's Iran war policy. Treasurer Jim Chalmers is described as opening the door for a potential recession. The article discusses the fuel crisis and its economic fallout in Australia. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker: Australia approves massive coal seam gas expansion in Queensland until 2081. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The federal government approved up to 1,695 new gas wells in Queensland's Surrott and Bowen basins, valid until 2081. The Australia Pacific LNG, APLNG, project involves 1,545 kilometres of pipelines and 3 processing facilities across the Surrott and Bowen basins. APLNG is a joint venture between US firm ConocoPhillips, Australian company Origin Energy, and Chinese operator Sinopec. The project is located in a region bounded by Rolleston, north, Wandoan, east, Tara, south, and in June, west. The approval includes 120+ environmental conditions covering threatened species, water resources, and chemical risk assessments. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports the approval is valid until 2081 to cover environmental conditions, but The Guardian states the project operates until 2061 with the 2081 extension for compliance. ABC states the approval covers Australia's largest known proven natural gas reserves, while The Guardian does not mention this specific claim. The Guardian highlights the project's emissions as exceeding Australia's annual transport emissions, 120 tonnes, but ABC does not quantify this comparison. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker: Australian public anxiety over national security threats and perceived government unpreparedness. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Australian National University's National Security College conducted surveys between November 2024 and February 2026 involving over 20,000 Australians, with additional focus groups and interviews. 69% of Australians polled in July 2025 believed Australia would be involved in a foreign military conflict within 5 years, with 68%, Guardian, and 70%, ABC, reporting similar figures. 45% of Australians considered a foreign military attack on Australian soil likely, very likely, or almost certain within 5 years, according to July 2025 data, Guardian ABC Newscoma. Worry about national security rose sharply among 18 to 24-year-olds, from 22% in November 2024 to 55% in February 2026, Guardian ABC News coma. 72% of respondents rated domestic terrorism a serious concern in February 2026, up from 55% in November 2024, Guardian ABC News coma. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reported that 45% of Australians considered a foreign military attack on shore likely, very likely, or almost certain in July 2025, while the ABC and Newscoma did not specify the exact percentage breakdown for likely vs very likely vs almost certain. The Newscoma article stated 85 to 89% of respondents believed certain threats were more likely than not, while The Guardian and ABC used percentages like 85% or more for likely without specifying the exact phrasing. The ABC mentioned that the survey was conducted before the current Iran conflict broke out, but The Guardian explicitly stated the data was collected preceding the latest Israel-US war on Iran, which may imply a slightly different timeline. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, and SBS News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Boating accident off Tasmania's northwest coast leaves 1 dead, 3 rescued after capsizing. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. 4 people, 3 adults, ages 27, 33, and a 6-year-old child left the Montague boat ramp west of Smithton at 5:30 p.m. on Saturday for a fishing trip. The boat capsized around 9 p.m. on Saturday, throwing all 4 into the water off Tasmania's far northwest coast near Robbins Island and Stony Point. 3 survivors, 27-year-old woman, 33-year-old man, and the 6-year-old child, were rescued about 1 p.m. on Sunday near Big Stony Island, 16 hours after the incident. The 3 rescued individuals were all wearing life jackets and suffered no serious injuries, though they were observed overnight at Northwest Regional Hospital. The missing 35-year-old man's body was found on Monday morning on the eastern side of Robbins Island. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC describes the boat as capsized, while Article 3, ABC, and Article 2, Newscomau, say the vessel broke up or was thrown apart, no consensus on cause. Article 1, ABC, states the 35-year-old is understood to have not been wearing a life jacket, but Article 3, ABC, clarifies he had a life jacket on at one point. Article 2, Newscomau, says the 3 survivors were floating in the ocean when rescued, while ABC sources state they were washed ashore near Robbins Island. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Rohan Dennis Instagram post about a Porsche as weapon amid wife's fatal crash. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Rohan Dennis posted a photo of a Porsche on Instagram with the caption "What an absolute weapon" on the 12th of June, 2024, Wednesday evening. Melissa Hoskins, Rohan Dennis's wife and Olympian, died on the 30th of December, 2023 after being struck by a car driven by Dennis near their Adelaide home. Dennis pleaded guilty in May 2024 to an aggravated charge of creating likelihood of harm over Hoskins's death and was sentenced to a 17-month prison term, suspended on a 2-year good behavior bond. Dennis was banned from driving for 5 years following the incident. The incident occurred after an argument between Dennis and Hoskins about home renovations at their Adelaide home on Medindy Lane. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC and Guardian report Dennis posted a photo of a bike frame on Tuesday before the Porsche post, but Newscomau does not mention this. ABC and Guardian report Dennis deleted his entire Instagram account after the controversy, but Newscomau does not mention this. ABC and Guardian report Dennis posted a screenshot of a journalist's voice message with the words "didn't take these rats long," but Newscomau does not mention this. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. NSW introduces laws to crush illegal high-speed e-bikes and related policy debates. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. NSW government will introduce legislation to seize and crush e-bikes operating over 25 km per hour, with roadside dyno units for speed testing. Transport Minister John Graham stated, "If it behaves like a motorbike, it's probably illegal and could end up in the crusher." A two-day safety blitz in NSW last week issued 170 fines for illegal e-bikes. NSW will introduce a minimum age for e-bike riders between 12 and 16, exact age yet to be decided. 40 or so illegal e-bikes swarmed the Sydney Harbour Bridge in a recent incident. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian mentions a 12 to 16 minimum age range for NSW e-bike riders, while Newscom Australia does not specify an age range for Queensland's laws, only 16 plus. The Guardian reports Victorian schools will operate at reduced capacity during the strike, but Newscom Australia does not cover this detail. The Guardian states NOMI has committed to implementing further age assurance functionality, while Newscom Australia does not mention NOMI's response. This story was covered by The Guardian and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Leadership speculation and internal divisions in Victorian Labor Party ahead of 2024 election. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Jacinta Allan became Victorian Premier in September 2023 after Daniel Andrews stepped down. The Victorian state election is scheduled for November 2024. Deputy Premier Ben Carroll, right faction, and Transport Infrastructure Minister Gabrielle Williams, left faction, are the most likely leadership contenders if a challenge occurs. Jacinta Allan's net approval rating is -37% according to Demos AU polling, Herald Sun, and Resolve polling, Age. Only 1 in 5 voters nominated Jacinta Allan as their preferred premier in February 2024 polling, Resolve Age. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Allan's baggage includes her role in the cancelled Commonwealth Games and big build corruption, but The Age and ABC do not mention these specific issues. The Guardian states a grouping of socialist left MPs within the southeast are pushing for a challenge, while The Age and ABC do not specify this subgroup's involvement. The Guardian claims Allan was effectively appointed by Andrews and lacks left faction support, but The Age and ABC do not emphasize this factional resentment. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Donald Trump's Pearl Harbor joke during White House meeting with Japan's PM Sonai Takeichi. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump joked about the 1941 Pearl Harbor attack during a White House press conference with Japan's Prime Minister Sonai Takeichi on December 7, 2023, ABC, SMH, Guardian. Trump's exact words included, "We didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan?" ABC, SMH, Guardian. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor killed 2,390 Americans and led to the US declaring war on Japan the next day, ABC, Guardian. Japan's Prime Minister Sonai Takeichi visibly reacted with discomfort, shifting in her seat and widening her eyes during Trump's remarks, ABC, SMH, Guardian. Trump previously made a similar quip about D-Day in front of Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz in June 2023, ABC, Guardian. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states Trump's tone toward Takeichi was far more friendly than toward European leaders, while SMH describes it as warm affection but does not explicitly compare it to European leaders' treatment. ABC reports Trump later said Japan's oil reliance on the Strait of Hormuz was a big reason to support US efforts, but SMH does not mention this specific justification. SMH claims the US summit with China's Xi Jinping was postponed due to the Iran conflict, while ABC does not mention this postponement. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and Sydney Morning Herald. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. 2 individuals arrested for attempting to enter UK's Farslane nuclear submarine base. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Two individuals, a 34-year-old man and a 31-year-old woman, were arrested on March 19, 2026, after attempting to enter HM Naval Base Clyde, Fars Lane, in Scotland. The man arrested was identified as an Iranian national. The woman's nationality was reported as Romanian by Police Scotland and unspecified by other sources. The base houses the UK's Trident nuclear submarines and is not open to the public. Police Scotland confirmed the arrests around 5 p.m. on March 19, 2026, and stated inquiries were ongoing. The pair were charged in connection with the incident and were due to appear in court, Dumbarton Sheriff Court or Westminster Magistrates Court. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1, Guardian, states the pair were arrested but not charged, while Article 2, Guardian, explicitly states they were charged. Article 1 mentions the woman's nationality was not immediately known, while Article 2 specifies her nationality as Romanian. Article 1 cites the Sun for the claim that the pair acted suspiciously, but the Sun is not referenced in Articles 2 or 3. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Coronial inquest into Bradley Murdoch's death and his refusal to disclose Peter Falconio's remains. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Bradley Murdoch was sentenced to life imprisonment in 2005 for the murder of Peter Falconio and attempted kidnapping of Joanne Lees, with a non-parole period of 28 years. Murdoch died from stage 4 cancer, throat cancer, in Alice Springs Hospital's palliative care unit on July 16, 2025, after 22 years in prison. Police made 2 attempts to convince Murdoch to reveal Falconio's remains in the weeks before his death, one visit to the prison on June 25, 2025, and another brief visit to his palliative care bed. Murdoch refused to watch a video of Falconio's parents shown by police during the June 25 visit and yelled at police to get out during the July visit. A $500,000 reward remains for information leading to Falconio's remains, which have never been found. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states Murdoch's cancer was diagnosed in November 2024 after a neck lump complaint, while The Guardian does not specify the exact diagnosis timeline. ABC highlights occasional delays in medical treatment were acknowledged but no missed opportunity for earlier diagnosis, while The Guardian focuses on Murdoch's verbal abuse of staff and refusal of radiotherapy. The Guardian describes Murdoch's final interaction with police as yelling "get out" at his bedside, while ABC does not mention this specific phrase but notes a 30-second visit. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Trump orders ICE agents to US airports amid DHS funding shutdown and TSA staff shortages. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump threatened to deploy ICE agents to US airports on Monday, the 24th of March, 2026, if Democrats did not agree to DHS funding terms, with deployment confirmed by Sunday, ABC, Guardian X3. Over 400 TSA workers have quit since the partial government shutdown began on the 14th of February, 2026, Guardian X2, ABC X2. TSA personnel are set to miss their second full paycheck on the 27th of March, 2026 due to the partial shutdown, Guardian X2, ABC. The partial government shutdown over DHS funding has entered its 36th day as of the 23rd of March, 2026, ABC X2, Guardian X2. ICE agents are not specifically trained for airport security, which is TSA's domain, Guardian X2, ABC X2. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Trump's original post claimed ICE would do security like no one has ever seen before, while ABC describes the deployment as a reckless threat to misuse ICE agents without proper training. The Guardian states Trump's deployment was conditional on Democrats not allowing just and proper security, while ABC frames it as a unilateral order already confirmed by Sunday. The Guardian mentions Trump's false claim that Somali immigrants have totally destroyed Minnesota, which ABC does not reference in the same context. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australian cricketer George Volume 50 scores fastest T20 century versus West Indies in series sweep. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. George Volume 50 scored the third fastest T20 international century by an Australian woman in 52 balls against West Indies on the 26th of March, 2024, St Vincent. Vol's 101 included 6 sixes and aggressive slog sweeps against spinners, finishing on 101 not out from 52 balls. Australia won the T20I series against West Indies 3-0 via the DLS method after rain interrupted the final match. Hosts chased 101 off 10 overs, scoring 61-3. Megan Shutt and Lucy Hamilton took 2 wickets each, 2-11, from 2 overs in West Indies innings before rain halted play. Sophie Molyneux scored 25 off 12 balls in her first series appearance as captain after returning from back pain. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC does not mention the specific date, the 26th of March, 2024, or day of the week, Monday, Tuesday AEDT, for Vol's century, while The Guardian does. The Guardian lists Beth Mooney's 54-ball century, vs Sri Lanka 2019, as part of the fastest Australian T20I centuries, but ABC does not include this detail. ABC refers to the third T20 against West Indies without specifying the date, while The Guardian clarifies it was the third match of the series on March 26, 2024. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australia and EU sign long-awaited free trade and security partnership after 8 years of negotiations. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Australia-EU Free Trade Agreement was signed on Tuesday after 8 years of negotiations, with leaders Anthony Albanese and Ursula von der Leyen finalising terms at Parliament House in Canberra. The deal is expected to create an annual economic benefit of $10 billion for Australia, lowering trade barriers between Australia and a market of 450 million EU consumers. The agreement includes a 30,000-tonne annual tariff-free quota for Australian beef exports to the EU, a 500% increase from current levels. The EU and Australia have also agreed to a security and defence partnership to boost cooperation on defence industry projects, cybersecurity, and counter-terrorism. Ursula von der Leyen addressed a special joint sitting of Australia's federal parliament, becoming the first female foreign leader to do so. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports the EU's beef quota is well short of industry demands, 50,000 tonnes, while Newscomau states the quota is at best a few 10,000 tonnes more than current levels without specifying a target number. ABC mentions the EU has agreed to phase out some geographic indicator restrictions on exports, while Newscomau does not mention this detail. ABC states the luxury car tax compromise means the EU dropped its bid for it to be scrapped entirely, but Newscomau does not provide this level of detail on the car tax. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australia's February 2024 unemployment rate rise and RBA monetary policy implications. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Australia's unemployment rate rose to 4.3% in February from 4.1% in January, both sources. Economists forecasted 20,000 new jobs in February, but actual employment grew by 48,000 to 48,900, Newscomau ABC. Full-time employment decreased by 30,500, Newscomau, or 30,000, ABC, in February, while part-time employment increased by 79,400, Newscomau, or 79,000, ABC. The participation rate rose to 66.9% in February from 66.7%, ABC only mentions this. Newscomau does not specify the exact rate but confirms an increase. The Reserve Bank of Australia, RBA, increased the official cash rate to 4.1% on the 20th of February, 2024, both sources. But not all outlets told the same story. Newscomau states the total employed reached 10,117,000 full-time plus 4,631,800 part-time, 14,748,800 total, while ABC rounds to 14,748,700, no discrepancy in total but slight rounding difference. Newscomau reports 48,000 new jobs in February, ABC reports 48,900, both sources agree on the order of magnitude but differ by 900 jobs. Newscomau does not explicitly state the participation rate increase, while ABC confirms it rose to 66.9%, ABC provides the exact rate. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Venezuela wins first World Baseball Classic title by defeating the USA in a dramatic final. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Venezuela defeated the United States 3-2 in the World Baseball Classic final on Tuesday night at Miami's loanDepot Park. Eugenio Suarez drove in the winning run with an RBI double in the top of the ninth inning. Daniel Palencia struck out Roman Anthony with a 100 mph fastball for the final out in the ninth inning. The game was played before a sold-out crowd of 36,190 at loanDepot Park in Miami. Venezuela's Michael Garcia led the tournament with 10 hits, batting .385 with 1 homer and 7 RBIs. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian mentions US President Donald Trump's Truth Social posts about statehood, number 51, anyone, before and after the game, while ABC does not mention Trump's involvement or posts. The Guardian states that the US players arrived in game-worn US Olympic hockey jerseys, but ABC does not mention this detail. The Guardian reports that Venezuela's Eduardo Rodriguez and US right-hander Nolan McLean worked scoreless first and second innings, while ABC does not specify who started for Venezuela or the US in the first 2 innings. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australian Matildas 2-1 Women's Asian Cup semi-final win over China and path to final. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Matildas defeated China 2-1 in the Women's Asian Cup semi-final on, date implied. Sam Kerr scored the match-winning goal for Australia in the second half. The Matildas will face Japan or South Korea in the final on Saturday in Sydney. Caitlin Ford scored a goal and provided an assist for Australia in the match. Zhong Linyang converted a penalty for China in the first half. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources. This story was covered by ABC News and SBS News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australia faces potential fuel supply disruptions due to Middle East conflict and regional export restrictions. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Australia imports around 90% of its fuel, with Malaysia as its third largest supplier of refined fuels, Newscom Australia, and top source of crude oil, Guardian. Malaysia's government stated it would prioritise domestic fuel needs before considering exports to Australia, per a Malaysian embassy spokesman quoted in both the Australian Financial Review, via Guardian, and Newscom Australia. South Korea has capped petrol and diesel exports to safeguard its own supply, Newscom Australia, and China directed refineries to pause or scale back exports, Newscom Australia. Energy Minister Chris Bowen acknowledged some petrol stations in Australia are running low on fuel, with NSW reporting 107 stations without diesel and 42 without fuel at all, Guardian. Bowen stated that governments have powers to ration petrol if supplies are severely disrupted, though he ruled out immediate rationing, Guardian. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states Malaysia is Australia's top source of crude oil, but Newscom Australia calls it the third largest supplier of refined fuels without mentioning crude oil dominance. The Guardian reports 107 NSW stations lack diesel and 42 lack fuel at all, while Newscom Australia does not provide specific station shortage numbers. The Guardian cites Kevin Morrison warning that South Korea, Japan, and India will prioritise domestic use over exports, but Newscom Australia only mentions South Korea's export caps explicitly. This story was covered by The Guardian and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. NFL player Cam Scatterbo's controversial denial of CTE and asthma legitimacy sparks backlash and apology. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Cam Scatterbo, a 24-year-old New York Giants running back, dismissed chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, as an excuse and asthma as fake during a Bring the Juice podcast in 2025. CTE is a degenerative brain condition linked to repeated head trauma, marked by abnormal tau protein buildup and symptoms including cognitive decline, mood changes, and dementia, with definitive diagnosis only possible posthumously. A 2017 Boston University study found CTE in 110 of 111 former NFL players examined, and the NFL acknowledged a link between football and CTE in 2016. Scatterbo's rookie season in 2025 with the Giants included 410 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns across 8 games before an ankle injury ended his season. Scatterbo apologized on X, formerly Twitter, for his comments, stating they were a tasteless joke and not meant to downplay the seriousness of the conditions. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Scatterbo called asthma fake too and said people should just breathe air, while Article 2 does not include the just breathe air quote. Article 1 mentions the Giants have not publicly commented on his remarks, but Article 2 does not address the team's response. Article 1 references a 2023 study finding CTE in roughly 92% of former NFL players, while Article 2 cites a 2017 study finding CTE in 110 of 111 players examined. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Donald Trump criticizes Australia and NATO allies for refusing military aid in Iran conflict and Strait of Hormuz blockade. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump publicly stated on social media that the US no longer needs or desires NATO countries' assistance in the Iran war, writing "We never did." Guardian, The Age, SMH, Newscom AU, ABC. Trump named Australia, Japan, South Korea, and NATO as countries whose help the US no longer requires, claiming we do not need the help of anyone. Guardian, The Age, SMH, Newscom AU, ABC. Australia's Transport Minister Catherine King confirmed Australia would not send a ship to the Strait of Hormuz, Guardian, ABC. Iran has effectively blocked the Strait of Hormuz since the US-Israel strikes on Iran in February, causing global oil supply disruptions and fuel price surges, Guardian, The Age, SMH, ABC. Australia's fuel prices surged, with regional New South Wales retailers charging $3.39 per litre for both unleaded petrol and diesel, Guardian. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and ABC report Australia's Transport Minister Catherine King ruled out sending a ship to the Strait of Hormuz, but The Age and Newscom AU do not mention her name or specific statement. The Guardian states Trump did not answer when asked what Australia had said no to, Article 1, while The Age and Newscom AU imply Trump's requests were explicitly rejected by Australia, Articles 2, 4. The Guardian reports fuel prices in Sydney exceeded $3 per litre for diesel, Article 1, but The Age and SMH do not specify Sydney's exact prices. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Death of married at first sight expert Mel Schilling from colon cancer at age 54. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Mel Schilling died on Tuesday at age 54 from colon cancer that spread to her brain. Schilling was diagnosed with colon cancer in December 2023 and underwent surgery to remove a tumor the size of a lemon. In February 2024, small nodules were found in her lungs, leading to 16 rounds of chemotherapy over 2 years. Schilling announced her terminal diagnosis in March 2024, stating her cancer had spread to the left side of her brain and doctors could do nothing further. Her husband Gareth Brisbane shared a statement on Instagram detailing her final moments, including a whispered message for their daughter Maddie and herself. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC and The Guardian do not specify the exact date of Schilling's death announcement, only mention Tuesday night, while SMH confirms it was on Tuesday, no date given elsewhere. The Guardian and SMH both mention her tumor was the size of a lemon, but only SMH provides the exact timeline of lung nodules discovery in February 2024. SMH is the only source to mention Schilling was filming the UK version of *MAFS* this year, while ABC and The Guardian do not specify this detail. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and Sydney Morning Herald. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US federal judge blocks Pentagon's press access policy under Trump administration. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A federal judge, Paul Friedman, blocked key portions of the Pentagon's press access policy introduced in October 2025, ruling it unconstitutional under the First Amendment. The policy prohibited journalists from soliciting unauthorized information from military personnel and revoked credentials of outlets refusing to sign the new policy. Of 56 news outlets in the Pentagon Press Association, only one agreed to sign the new policy, leading to the loss of passes for the remaining outlets. The Pentagon assembled a new press corps consisting of pro-Trump outlets and media personalities after major outlets left. The New York Times filed a lawsuit against the Pentagon, alleging the policy violated free speech protections and gave the Pentagon unfettered discretion to revoke passes. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian mentions the policy was introduced in October 2025, while ABC does not specify the exact month but refers to it as a 2025 change. The Guardian states the policy prohibited journalists from soliciting information that the Defense Department didn't directly provide, while ABC does not explicitly mention this specific prohibition. The Guardian notes the Pentagon's policy was approved by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, but ABC does not mention Hegseth's name in this context. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Prime Minister Albanese and Minister Burke heckled at Lokemba Mosque Eid event. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Anthony Albanese and Tony Burke attended Eid prayers at Lokemba Mosque in Sydney's West on Friday morning, 2024. A man was led out by police after shouting genocide supporters at Albanese during the event. He was given a move-on direction and released without charge. Lokemba Mosque is one of Australia's largest mosques, located in Sydney's west. The event marked the end of Ramadan, one of the most sacred dates in the Islamic faith. Gamal Kir, secretary of the Lebanese Muslim Association, LMA, delivered a statement criticising Australia's involvement in the Middle East war and its impact on the Muslim community. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports a man was led out by police and released without charge, while ABC and News.com.au describe him being thrown out and thrown down the stairs by LMA staff and police. SMH states Albanese was chased by protesters after escaping via a back door, but The Guardian does not mention this detail. ABC reports Albanese and Burke remained seated until the end of the speech before being led out, while The Guardian says Albanese made a quick exit and avoided a crowd waiting outside. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, News.com.au, and Sydney Morning Herald. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Nicola Ollis-Lages finishes as silver medalist in women's high jump at World Indoor Championships. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Nicola Olislagers won silver in the women's high jump at the World Indoor Championships in Torun, Poland. Yaroslava Mahuchik won gold with a clearance of 2.01 meters. Olislagers, Yulia Levchenko, Ukraine, and Angelina Topic, Serbia, shared silver after all clearing 1.99 meters. Olislagers cleared 1.99 meters on her first attempt, equaling her indoor personal best. Eleanor Patterson, Australia, finished 7th with a clearance of 1.93 meters. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states Olislagers was a little surprised to be among the top 4, while ABC does not mention this specific reaction. The Guardian describes Eleanor Patterson's performance as suffering early failures, while ABC does not use this phrasing. The Guardian notes Peter Bol had raced indoors only twice in his life before the event, while ABC does not specify this exact detail. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis.